A homeless-looking man steps into a crowded bar on a freezing night. The manager immediately wants him out, treating him like he does not belong. But one black waitress sees something others cannot. She offers him kindness, a warm meal, and respect. And what happens next will shock everyone in the room. It was a cold Friday evening in downtown Chicago. The kind of evening when the sidewalks stayed wet, and people hurried into warm places with glowing signs. On the corner of Logan Street stood a bar named Logan House Tavern. The neon sign buzzed with tired electricity, and the sound of laughter spilled out into the street. A man stood across the road, watching the entrance like he was considering whether to walk in or turn away. His clothes were worn out. His boots were scratched. His hair was rough and uncombed. He looked like a homeless man trying to survive another night. But the truth was hidden under all of it. His name was Nathan Cole, a 46-year-old white man who happened to be a millionaire and the silent owner of Logan House Tavern. Nathan had made his money years ago in real estate, but success had taught him something strange. The more money he made, the less he understood how people treated others who had nothing. So tonight he wanted answers, real answers, not the polished smiles he usually got when he walked in wearing his expensive suits. He wanted to see how his staff acted when no one important was watching. Nathan took a slow breath and crossed the street. Cars passed behind him. A group of friends laughed as they walked past the bar. No one looked at him twice. That was exactly what he expected. People rarely noticed anyone who looked poor. He reached the door and pulled it open. Heat rushed out. Music played from the speakers. The smell of fried wings and grilled steak filled the air. Inside, the bar felt alive. Men watched sports on the big TVs. Couples shared drinks. Workers loosened ties after long shifts. Nathan stepped inside quietly. His eyes scanned the room. He saw the bartenders, the servers, and the manager, a tall man named Brian who wore a perfect haircut and a permanent frown. Brian believed he ran the place. He did not know that the man he considered a nobody, the man he would likely insult tonight, was the real owner. Nathan took a few slow steps forward. His stomach growled. He had skipped lunch on purpose. He wanted the hunger to feel real. He wanted the test to be real. Tonight he was not a millionaire. He was a tired man who looked like he needed help. But help was not the first thing he saw on the staff faces. A waitress stopped and gave him a quick look, then walked away fast. A few customers turned their eyes and then turned right back to their drinks. A couple whispered something to each other and smirked. Nathan felt the first sting of reality. This was the world he wanted to see. The world that did not know his name. He started walking toward the counter, hoping someone would at least talk to him. But Brian, the manager, saw him first. His eyes narrowed. His shoulders stiffened. His lips tightened like he was already irritated. Nathan prepared himself. The test had officially begun. Nathan reached the wooden counter and placed his hand gently on the surface. He waited for someone to acknowledge him. A bartender glanced at him, then quickly looked away like acknowledging him might cause trouble. A couple of customers shifted in their seats. One woman grabbed her purse closer to her side. Nathan quietly cleared his throat. No reaction. Then Brian, the manager, walked toward him with a sharp, irritated expression. He already looked angry, and he had not said a single word yet. His black shirt was tucked in perfectly, and his hair was styled like he had stepped out of a commercial. He always wanted customers to see him as a leader, but leadership was the last thing he practiced. Brian stopped right in front of Nathan. What do you want here? Nathan kept his voice steady. I am just looking for something to eat. Maybe a warm meal? Brian scoffed. This is not a shelter. You cannot just walk in here expecting free food. Nathan shook his head calmly. I am not asking for free food. I can pay something. Not much, but something. Brian laughed under his breath. We do not serve people like you. You are making customers uncomfortable. A few people near them pretended not to listen, but their eyes stayed locked on the scene. A couple at the bar shook their heads. A man whispered something to his friend and pointed at Nathan. Nathan kept his voice soft. I have money. I just need a warm meal. Brian stepped even closer. Look, buddy, we are running a business. I cannot have you sitting around ruining the atmosphere. You need to leave before I call security. Nathan felt a heavy feeling in his chest. Not because of the insult, but because he knew this was the man representing his business every day. He had hired Brian based on a resume that looked perfect, but resumes did not show a person's heart. Brian waved his hand toward the door. You heard me. Move. Nathan stood still. He wanted to see if anyone else would react. If anyone had the courage to step in. If compassion still existed somewhere inside this building. Silence filled the air around him. People watched, but no one spoke. Nathan lowered his head like a man defeated and took one slow step back. He did not want to expose the truth yet. The test was not complete. Just when Brian turned away, someone stepped forward behind them. Her voice was calm and firm at the same time. Is everything all right here? Everyone turned to look. A woman stood holding a tray. She was in her late 20s, a black waitress with warm brown skin and tired but gentle eyes. Her curly hair was tied up, and her apron was smudged with a long evening of work. Her name was Harper James. She looked at Nathan, not with disgust, not with pity, but with simple human concern, and that was the first kindness he had felt all night. Brian rolled his eyes. Harper, stay out of this. I am removing him from the bar. Harper did not blink. What did he do? Brian lowered his voice. He is a problem. Harper looked at Nathan again. Then she looked around at the people staring. Nothing about her expression changed. She stepped closer to Nathan, like she was placing herself between him and the entire room. Sir, what do you need? Nathan felt a strange warmth. Someone had finally asked him the simplest question in the world, and she said it with respect. Brian lifted his hands in frustration. Harper, you need to stop this right now. Harper ignored him. Sir, come with me. I can help you. And with that, she led Nathan toward a table in the corner. As they walked away, whispers followed them, but Harper did not care. Not even a little. Nathan sat down slowly. Harper placed her tray on the table. Let me get you some water first, and then we will talk about what you can afford. Nathan nodded. Thank you. Harper returned with a glass of water and set it in front of him. She pulled a small notepad from her apron pocket. Here you go. Drink this first. What can I get you to eat? Nathan held the glass with both hands. The warmth of a basic gesture hit him harder than the cold outside ever could. He took a slow sip and looked at her. I do not have much money, but I can pay something. Maybe enough for the cheapest thing on your menu. Harper smiled gently. Let me worry about that. Just tell me what you are craving. The question caught Nathan off guard. No one had asked him what he wanted in a long time. They usually told him what he could not have. I guess something warm. Maybe a bowl of soup. Harper nodded. I will bring it. And a sandwich. Nathan almost panicked. A sandwich would cost more. I do not think I can afford both. Harper leaned a little closer. Trust me, you are fine. Then she walked away, but not before giving him a reassuring smile. Across the room, Brian watched with his arms crossed. He looked like a man who had just tasted something sour. He walked straight to Harper. Why are you doing this? We do not feed people like him. Harper raised her eyebrows. People like him. What does that mean? Brian sighed. You know what I mean. Homeless people. They scare customers. Harper crossed her arms. He is a customer if he walked in asking for food. That is how this job works. Brian lowered his voice. He will not pay. And even if he does, I do not want someone like him sitting here. Harper shook her head. That is not your decision to make. Brian stepped closer. Stop this right now or I will write you up. Harper did not flinch. Then write me up. But I am not turning away a hungry man who asked politely for help. Customers nearby pretended not to listen, but the tension had pulled their attention like a magnet. Brian stomped away angrily, mumbling under his breath. Harper headed back to the kitchen window and picked up a bowl of steaming soup and a grilled chicken sandwich. She placed them on a tray and walked back to Nathan's table. She set the food down with a small smile. Here you go. Eat slowly. It is very hot. Nathan stared at the food. The steam rose from the bowl. The sandwich smelled fresh. He swallowed hard. This is too much. I cannot let you cover this yourself. I do not want you to get in trouble. Harper pulled out a chair and sat across from him for a moment. Look, I have worked here for 3 years. I know exactly how much food gets thrown away every night. I also know what it feels like to be hungry and ignored. So just enjoy your meal. You deserve that much. Nathan held the spoon in his hand. His voice cracked slightly. Thank you, Harper. Really. Harper smiled. Then go ahead, eat. Nathan took his first spoonful of soup. It was warm, rich, and comforting. Something inside him softened. Something he had not felt in months. A simple human connection. Harper stood up to return to work. "I will check on you in a minute." Nathan watched her walk away, steady and kind. There was no performance in her actions. No show, no pretending. She had no idea who he was, and yet she treated him better than anyone else in the room. For the first time that night, he knew the test had found its first answer. Harper had passed with honesty and heart. But the night was far from over, and the truth was waiting in the shadows. Nathan ate slowly, taking in each warm bite. The soup loosened the tightness in his chest. The sandwich brought back a distant memory of simpler days when his mother would make him grilled chicken after long school days. He had not expected a simple meal to feel so emotional, but hunger and kindness could do that. Around him, the bar continued to buzz with conversations and clinking glasses. But he noticed how often people stole glances at him. Some curious, some irritated, some judgmental. It was the world he had been expecting, but seeing it up close still hurt. A man at a nearby table leaned forward and whispered to his wife. She frowned, looked at Nathan, then whispered back quickly. Nathan gently wiped his mouth with the napkin Harper had set down. He pretended not to notice them, but he heard enough. Why did she give him that? He probably cannot even pay. Do they allow people like that to sit here now? Nathan kept his eyes on his bowl. He had heard harsher words in life, but something felt heavier tonight. Perhaps because this was his own bar, the place he had built with hope that people would feel comfortable and safe. Yet the reality he saw tonight was different. It felt colder than the winter outside. Harper returned with a refill of water. She placed the glass on the table. "How is the food?" Nathan nodded. "It is perfect. Thank you again." Harper smiled softly. "I am glad. If you need anything more, just tell me." Just as she turned, Brian approached again. His face was tight with frustration. "Harper, office, now." Harper sighed deeply but did not look scared. She gave Nathan a reassuring look before following Brian toward the back hallway. Customers watched as if a show had begun. Inside the small office, Brian shut the door behind them. "What part of what I said did you not understand?" Harper stood tall. "The part where you wanted me to turn away a hungry man, yes. I ignored that." Brian pointed toward the door. "This bar has a standard. We serve paying customers, not anyone who walks in from the street." Harper kept her voice even. "He said he will pay." Brian laughed harshly. "People like him always say that. Then they eat. Then they run. And we get stuck with the bill." Harper shook her head. "Maybe people run because the world treats them like trash. Maybe if someone showed them respect, they would act differently." Brian stepped closer. "You are not a social worker. You are a waitress. Your job is to listen." Harper answered calmly. "My job is also to treat people like human beings." Their eyes locked for several seconds. Brian's chest rose and fell fast. Harper did not move an inch. Brian finally snapped and grabbed a warning slip from his desk. "You leave me no choice. I am writing you up for insubordination." Harper did not look away from his eyes. "If that makes you feel in control, go ahead." Brian slammed the paper down on the desk. Then he stormed out, leaving Harper alone in the tiny office. She closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them again, steady and calm. She picked up the warning slip, folded it, and put it in her apron without emotion. She had been through tougher days in life. This was nothing compared to what she had survived before. She walked back out to the floor with the same steady steps, carrying the same gentle strength. Nathan noticed her return. She was pretending everything was normal, but her eyes told a different story. He could see she had been scolded, maybe worse, and it was because of him. He felt guilt stirring in his chest. But this was the real test. He could not reveal the truth yet. Not until he saw the full picture. Harper approached him again. "Everything okay?" Nathan nodded slowly. "You should not get in trouble because of me." Harper smiled. "Trouble comes and goes. Doing the right thing stays with you." Nathan looked at her closely. Those words stayed with him longer than she knew. Harper returned to work, moving from table to table with practiced ease. But she kept glancing at Nathan, making sure he was all right. Nathan watched her for a moment, noticing something deeper about her. She had a tiredness in her posture, the kind that came from carrying life burdens too heavy for someone her age. Yet kindness sat naturally on her face. After a few minutes, she came back to check on him again. "Do you need anything else?" "No, the food was great." "Thank you again." Harper nodded and looked at the bowl. Empty, sandwich gone. She seemed relieved. She hesitated, then pulled out the chair across from him and sat down for a short break. "Can I ask you something?" Nathan nodded, "Of course. How long have you been on the street?" Nathan paused. He had to stay in character. The truth would come later. "A little while. Things got rough. Lost some things. Trying to get back on my feet." Harper listened quietly. She did not judge. She did not pity. She just listened, and her eyes softened. "I understand. I really do." Nathan tilted his head. "You have been through something similar." Harper gave a small laugh that held no humor. "Something like that. Life has a way of knocking you down when you least expect it." Nathan watched her closely. She was not speaking for sympathy. Her tone was too honest, too steady. This was her story. Harper looked toward the counter for a moment, making sure no customers were waiting for her. Then she spoke again. "When I was 19, my mom got sick. I had to drop out of college to take care of her. Bills piled up. We lost our apartment. For a few months, we bounced around between friends' houses and shelters." Nathan's chest tightened. Her story hit deeper than he expected. Things eventually got better. "I got a job, saved up, got a place. But I will never forget what it felt like to be invisible. To be looked at like you were dirty, like you were unwanted, like you did not belong anywhere." Nathan lowered his head. "I am sorry you went through that." Harper shrugged gently. "Hard times teach you things. They teach you who you want to be when you see someone struggling." Nathan looked down at his hands. "And you chose to help people." Harper smiled softly. "I chose to treat people like I wish someone treated me back then." The simple truth of her words settled between them. Nathan took a deep breath. "You are a good person, Harper. Not many would have done what you did tonight." Harper shook her head. "Kindness should not be rare. But here we are." She stood up slowly. "Break is over. I need to get back to work. You let me know if you need anything else, okay?" Nathan nodded. "I will. Thank you, truly." Harper smiled before walking back toward the busy tables. Nathan watched her with quiet respect. She was not acting. She was not performing kindness for customers or for recognition. She had lived the very pain she was trying to shield others from. She reminded him of something he had not felt in years: humanity. But the night was heading toward a moment no one in the bar was prepared for, and the truth that would soon come out would shake every person inside. Logan House Tavern. Nathan finished the last sip of water and sat quietly, letting the warmth of the food settle inside him. For a moment he felt human again, not invisible, not judged, just human. And the credit for that belonged to Harper. But the peace did not last long. A group of 3 young men entered the bar. Loud, energetic, laughing in a way that tried to capture attention. They looked like regular customers, but one of them noticed Nathan almost instantly. The tallest one nudged his friend. "Look at that. Guess they let anyone in here now." His friend smirked and shook his head. Bar standards really dropped? Nathan heard every word, but he did not react. He had lived through worse comments in his real travels. But tonight, every judgment landed differently. It landed inside a place that belonged to him, a place he had trusted his staff to maintain with respect. The third guy leaned slightly over toward Nathan's table. "Yo, man, you lost or something?" Nathan kept his voice calm. "I am fine, just having a meal." The tall guy scoffed loudly. "Wow, look at that confidence." Harper, who was taking an order at a nearby table, froze for half a second. She turned her head just slightly. Her eyes hardened as she watched the 3 men harassing Nathan. She quickly finished with the other customers and walked straight to Nathan's table. "Is everything good here?" She placed her hand gently on the table, her voice steady but firm. The tall guy smirked. "We are just talking to your friend." Harper's face did not move. "He is a paying customer. Please be respectful." The guy threw his hands up sarcastically. All right, you do not have to get serious." Brian saw the scene from the bar, counter, and walked over quickly. "Great. Now," he thought he had a reason to jump in. "What is happening now?" Harper answered calmly. "These gentlemen were harassing him." Brian rolled his eyes. "They are regulars. They spend money. Do not start something unnecessary, Harper." The tall guy smirked even more. "See, manager understands." Harper's eyes narrowed slightly. She spoke slowly, choosing each word. "Respect should apply to everyone here, not just the people with money." Brian's jaw tightened. Harper, I am not saying this again. Stay out of it. Harper took a breath but did not back down. She gently placed her hand on Nathan's shoulder. Sir, ignore them. You are safe here. The tall guy laughed. Safe? Come on. We are not going to hurt him. But maybe he should go back to wherever he came from. Harper stepped forward. That is enough, Brian snapped at her. Stop it, Harper. You are making this worse. The tall guy leaned back in his chair, enjoying the drama. Nathan watched all of this silently. This was no longer just a test. This had become a mirror. A clear reflection of who had heart in his bar and who did not. Harper took a deep breath. She looked at the three men. Then at Brian, then at Nathan. You should never treat people like this. Not here, not anywhere. The tall customer rolled his eyes. Relax. Nobody cares, Harper replied quietly. I care. Brian finally lost patience. Harper, come to the office right now. And this time, it is not a warning. Harper swallowed. She did not look scared for herself. She looked angry for Nathan. Nathan watched her walk away again, shoulders straight, heart heavy. And in that moment, he knew the test was over. He had seen enough. But the bar was not done with surprises tonight. Not even close. Harper followed Brian into the office for the second time that night. The tiny room felt even smaller now. Brian shut the door behind them and pointed at the chair. Sit. Harper remained standing. I am not a child, Brian. If you want to talk, talk. Brian rubbed his forehead. Harper, you are out of control tonight. You think you can argue with customers. Embarrass me in front of the whole bar. I defended someone who was being insulted, Harper replied. Brian raised his voice. He is not our responsibility. Harper shot back instantly. Human beings are always our responsibility. Brian stared at her like she was speaking a language he had never heard. This is a bar, Harper. Drinks, food, money, not charity. Harper responded calmly. Then maybe you should learn what hospitality actually means. That comment hit Brian harder than any insult. He stepped forward. I have had enough. Pack up your things. You are done here. Harper did not blink. You are firing me for helping someone. Brian pointed to the door. I am firing you for refusing to follow instructions. That is the last word. Harper nodded slowly. All right. If that is how you run this place, then maybe I do not belong here. Brian smirked like he had won a victory. You never did. Harper's chest rose a little, but her voice stayed calm. I will finish my tables first. Brian barked, No, you are done right now. Harper exhaled slowly. She reached into her apron, pulled out the folded warning slip and placed it on his desk. Keep this. It represents you, not me. Then she opened the door and walked out. She did not slam it. She did not cry. She did not show fear. She simply walked out with the same dignity she had shown from the moment she first defended Nathan. The moment she stepped back into the main room, the atmosphere shifted. A few customers had sensed something big happening. They watched her quietly as she walked to the counter. Nathan saw her too. He knew instantly something had happened. Something unfair. Something cruel. Harper took off her apron, folded it neatly, and set it on the counter. She grabbed her small crossbody purse from under the register. A bartender whispered, Harper, where are you going? Harper answered quietly, Home. Brian walked out of the office behind her, looking satisfied. His voice was loud enough for the room to hear. She is no longer employed here. Everyone returned to what you were doing. A few customers nodded coldly. A few others looked uncomfortable. But no one spoke up. Except Nathan. He rose slowly from his chair. Harper paused mid-step, surprised. Nathan walked toward her one steady step at a time. Harper, he said softly, you did not deserve this. She shook her head. It is fine. People show who they are. And today, Brian showed exactly who he is. Nathan took a breath. His heart was pounding. The truth was right there, waiting to break free. But he could not reveal it yet. Not here in the corner. Not quietly. Everyone needed to hear it. He looked at Harper with gratitude and something deeper. Then he turned his eyes toward Brian, the customers, the entire room. The bar had no idea what was about to happen. The night that began with judgment was about to end with truth. Nathan took a deep breath and faced everyone in the bar. The room grew quiet. All conversations stopped. Every pair of eyes turned toward him. I have something to tell you, he began. My name is Nathan Cole. I am the owner of Logan House Tavern. A few customers laughed nervously. Some frowned. Brian froze completely. His mouth opened and closed like he had just swallowed something bitter. The man you insulted tonight. The man you mocked. The man you thought was nothing. That was me. The bar was silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Nathan continued. I came here tonight to see the truth, to see who treated people with kindness and who only cared about appearances. He looked directly at Harper. You, Harper, showed heart. You treated me like a human being, not like a label. You stood up when others looked away. Harper stared, shocked. Nathan smiled softly. That is rare, and it will not be forgotten. Then Nathan turned to Brian. And you, Brian, you failed. Your actions showed exactly why compassion is not in your list of priorities. Brian opened his mouth, but no words came out. He looked around. Customers stared at him in disbelief. Nathan walked slowly toward Harper. He handed her a folded envelope. This is a reward, a lifetime employment here, and a bonus you will never expect. For loyalty, courage, and kindness. Harper held the envelope, her hands shaking slightly. I cannot believe this, she said quietly. Nathan smiled. You earned this, and you deserve respect always. The bar remained still. Then slowly applause began. A few customers clapped first, then more joined. Even some of the regulars whispered their congratulations. Harper smiled, genuinely happy, though tears brimmed in her eyes. Nathan nodded to her. The night had changed for everyone in the room. Nathan stood at the counter and addressed the entire bar staff. Tonight was a test, he said. Not of me, but of all of you. He turned to the customers. And of the people you see every day. You may think you know someone by the way they look. By the clothes they wear, by their appearance. But appearances lie. He looked at Brian, and sometimes, the people who judge the most are the ones who know the least. Brian swallowed. The room felt heavy. Nathan continued. I want Logan House Tavern to be a place where respect, compassion, and kindness come first. Where no one is ignored. Where everyone feels welcome. Harper stepped forward. I will do my best to honor that, she said softly. Nathan nodded. That is all I ask. He smiled at everyone. From tonight on, this bar will remember what really matters, and it starts with how we treat others, no matter who they are, customers whispered among themselves. A few of them returned to their drinks, but this time with a new perspective. They watched Harper, watched Nathan, and saw what real courage and heart looked like. Even Brian lowered his gaze. For the first time, he realized that leadership is not just about rules and authority. It is about fairness, empathy, and recognizing the worth of every human being. Nathan finally returned to his corner table. He sat down and watched Harper serve the remaining customers. She moved with grace, confidence, and that quiet strength that had captivated him from the start. The bar felt different now, lighter, warmer. It was not just the food or the lights or the music. It was the energy, the shift from judgment to understanding, from indifference to care. Nathan finished his drink slowly. He felt content, not because he had revealed himself, not because he had punished or rewarded, but because he had witnessed humanity. Harper returned to his table for a moment. Everything okay? Nathan nodded. Perfect, he said. She smiled, nodded, and walked back to her station. Nathan looked around the bar one last time that night. He saw customers talking with more respect, staff smiling with new confidence, and a manager thinking hard about what truly mattered. He left the bar quietly, his coat pulled tight against the cold. Outside, the Chicago streets were wet and shiny. The neon lights reflected off puddles, and Nathan walked home with a heart lighter than it had been in years. He knew one thing for sure. Logan House Tavern would never be the same, and the world, even in small ways, could still change for the better.